Hello, it's Paul here once again. Welcome to my channel, Talking Music, and today we've got a real big one for you. Frank Sinatra and Strangers in the Night. Now, what can we say about Frank? France's Albert Sinatra is one of the most successful artists of all time. As number of records sold worldwide, 150 million, he's right up there in the top tier. But with Sinatra, it's more than just that. His name just transcends the music he's made. He's probably music's greatest stylist. His voice instantly recognisable and often copied, that being the sincerest form of flattery. I think we can call him great because of his influence, his infamy, his volatility, his altruism, the way he lived his life, his position at the forefront of pop culture, and his contribution to people's way of life. And it's not just his talent, his voice, that makes him a star. It's his supreme self-assurance and control. If you watch him in interviews, he creates tension. It's like a voltage. And when he's finished, he leaves the air charged. It's like electricity. He had electricity. The man had electricity. The thing about Sinatra is that above anyone else, he had the ability to sing as if it actually happened to him. In many of his songs, you would believe he was singing from personal experience. In Strangers in the Night, you would actually believe he had gone out that evening and fallen in love at first sight with someone across the bar. His voice belongs to anyone of any generation who's known love and hurt and had high hopes and low disappointments and lived life. And I guess that's just about every one of us. He had the nickname the chairman of the board, so it's easy to understand how he might intimidate others, not his friends and family, but people who might be in his presence. Big star, strong opinions, perfectionist, down to earth, lived a life, very confident. All that is intimidating. Yet he's the one who'll slip $100 to the guy in a sleeping bag on the pavement or sidewalk. And you get the impression from his friends, if Frank's your pal, there's nothing he wouldn't do for you. Glenn Campbell played guitar on Strangers in the Night and was in awe of Frank. He couldn't stop looking at him and watching him. Frank breezed in, sang the song 2 times, 15 minutes in total, and was done. On the way out, he said to the studio manager, "What's it with the guitarist? What's his problem?" He didn't realise the effect he had on people. Frank's voice in the middle range was smooth, at the lower end, tender. And on days in the recording studio when he knew his voice wasn't working right, he'd leave and return the next day. He'd still pay the musicians, though. Strangers in the Night was smooth all the way, easy for him to sing because I suppose it's right in the middle of his range. Could be the reason that the song's producer called time after 2 takes. The song was written by Arvo Uvesian at the request of Frank Sinatra's people. He'd collaborated with the well-known orchestra leader Bert Kaempfert from Germany, and the song found its way to Frank after it had been turned down by a Greek actress and singer Merlina Mercouri, who felt that the song's melody would better suit a male vocal, and boy was she right. I wonder how much she dined out on that when the song was a big hit. Frank didn't really care much for the melody, and certainly didn't like the words, but songwriters Charles Singleton and Eddie Snyder rewrote the song in a way that appealed more to Frank. But first impressions can sometimes stick, and Frank never liked the song. He used to call it a turkey. And maybe that was because it was a pop song and Frank couldn't just stand there and click his fingers to it. His son, Frank Sinatra Jr., used to help his father out on stage and would tell stories of how sometimes his dad would just drop the song from the playlist while he was performing and tell the band to go on to the next one. He never included the song in his late 60s specials for TV either. I think it's rather strange that a song that was so good for him did not have the love reciprocated. And it was good for him. Frank had always been a world-leading star, even when he wasn't making hit movies and hit records. He did have down periods in his productivity. What he liked doing best was singing. And 1965 had proved a really good year for him with the song It Was a Very Good Year, winning the Grammy for Best Vocal Performance. And 1966 was even better, with Billboard magazine saying he may well have reached the peak of his eminence. Strangers in the Night topped the charts in the UK and the US, amidst the all-conquering Beatles and Rolling Stones. It was his first number one hit single for 11 years, and the song went on to pick up 4 Grammys for Best Male Pop Vocal, Record of the Year, Best Arrangement, and Best Engineered Recording, and all that in just 2 takes. It also gave birth to the well-known animated cartoon character Scooby-Doo, when Frank was ad-libbing his dooby-dooby-doos at the fade-out of the song. The idea came to Fred Silverman, who was a CBS executive at the time and was developing a cartoon series featuring a Great Dane, and when he heard the song and he heard Frank scatting at the end, the name popped into his head. The song was recorded April the 11th, 1966. It was a Monday evening, and it took, as I said before, just 2 takes. Then producer Jimmy Bowen, a friend of Dean Martin, who was also there on the night, said, "I've got what I need." I think he could probably sense that Frank was itching to go. Michael Rubini was one of the musicians there on the night.
Scooby-Dooby-Dooby-Dooby-Dooby, Scooby-Dooby-Doo. And Jimmy looks at me and I look at him and Jimmy says, "What do you think?" And I said, "Wow." I said, "I don't know what to think about this." I said, because I've never heard anything like this before. I said, "I can tell you one thing for sure. Either it's going to be the biggest bomb that Frank ever made, or it's going to be the biggest hit he ever had." I don't think he cared one way or the other. It was just maybe to placate Dean, because Dean had been begging him to let Jimmy Bowen do a record on him, for a long time. When that last take was done, Frank didn't even listen to it. He did not hang out to listen to it. "Do you have what you need? Because it's time for me to go." Jimmy's very tight on budgets. I mean, he's got his money down. He knows how much he has to spend, and he's going to get something. Well, he didn't have a second song for Frank Sinatra, right? He just was, just had that one song. So he did a pickup song for Dean Martin, middle of a take. I mean, Dean's singing and we're playing, and Frank just walks back into the studio door through this, double door. He said, "Come on, Dean, it's time to go." "Yeah, we're in the middle of a take. Come on, Dean, shut it down, time to go." Because I told you, he was on an itinerary. He was going to Vegas, right? And he looked at me and he looked, at the guys. He said, "Well, guys," he said, "time to go. Frank's calling."
Strangers in the Night was only released as a single in America and the UK, but it did awfully well. It topped both charts. As you can see here, Billboard's Hot 100 chart, July 2nd, 1966. It went to the top. And the Beatles' paperback writer was to knock Frank Sinatra off the top spot the following week, which was a bit of a double coincidence, really, because the same thing happened on the UK charts about a month earlier, June the 4th, 1966. The song itself was released at the same time, both in the UK and the US, but it's slower moving up the American charts than it is the UK single charts. And there, June the 4th, 1966, Frank, number 1, the first of what would be 3 weeks at the top, knocking the Stones, Paint It Black, off the top spot. And even though they're not there in the top 5 yet, they would be. The Beatles and paperback writer were primed to knock Frank off his perch at the end of June. So that's Frank Sinatra, Francis Albert, as some of his fans know him, and Strangers in the Night. That's it for another Talking Music. Do hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please subscribe to my channel. That would be terrific. And give us a like as well. Just click the thumbs up. So until the next Talking Music, which I hope will be very soon, I wish you well. Till then, bye-bye.